everyone. My name is Rob McDonald. I'm a senior vice president at Virtru. Virtru is a longtime partner with Google, providing zero trust data control now to more than 5,000 customers, collaborating and innovating in the Google Workspace ecosystem via email and file-centric workflows. I'm really lucky to be here today with Bill Dougherty, the CISO at Omada Health. And Omada is a true leader in next generation healthcare, and just really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining today, Bill.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here. And for background, Omada, we are an 11-year-old healthcare startup specialized in the prevention and treatment of chronic diseases, primarily type 2 diabetes, hypertension. We also have a digital physical therapy or MSK program. We've been a longtime customer of Google and also a longtime customer of Virtru.
Excellent. I appreciate that overview, Bill. Omada is doing some amazing things. I've really followed the journey over the year. I got a soft spot in my heart for healthcare, given my background with tech and healthcare. It's just amazing what you guys have been up to. Really appreciate that. Look, we live in an interesting time today, as everyone knows. That's not a new topic, and I would love to hear someone like yourself who's been in the trenches, also leading the space. What kind of challenges your organization been facing every day, trying to foster a productive and engaged human collaboration in this remote first world? I know there's a lot. I'd love to hear your synthesis on what you've been facing and those challenges.
Yeah, I think the last couple of years have been extraordinarily challenging in this space. We were always a somewhat remote company. Pre-pandemic, we had about 40% of our staff remote. The other 60% were butts in seats 5 days a week, concentrated in San Francisco. And when COVID hit, we sent everybody home and then decided to start figuring out what we were going to do. A few months in, we then decided, this is kind of working. Let's make ourselves a remote first company. So you never have to go back into the office. When you make that decision, really interesting things cascade down from it, because all of the processes, but also all of the casual interactions all need to change. Because you no longer can rely on, Rob, I'm going to see you tomorrow morning over at the coffee machine to catch up. So you need new norms, you need new conventions, you need new technologies, because we're all trying to solve this problem of how do we continue to maintain culture? How do we continue to collaborate? How do we continue to get efficiencies out of our staff and maintain productivity? And it's been an interesting couple of years.
Yeah, what's interesting what you just said, and I really appreciate that. You said efficiencies, and I think about efficiency too. I also think about the other side of that efficiency, which is the producer, that employee, and what kind of tools and how did you have to enable them so that they had things that were easy to use. I think about your partnership with Google and the tools that everybody loves. Can you expand on that efficiency piece, and how did you enable them to be able to work efficiently and in ways that they enjoyed working?
Yeah, so we were always a SaaS first, SaaS only company. We were born in the cloud.
Yeah.
We've been in Google since day one. So we've always had those kinds of collaborative tools. What we didn't necessarily have was what we're doing right now.
Right.
We weren't always on Zoom every day or on Hangouts or on chat applications. So we had to expand our usage of those. And then we had to go seek out other tools that could replace things we had every day, like a digital whiteboard, because we still like writing on a whiteboard. We still like putting Post-it notes. If I were to turn that board around, you'd see it's covered with Post-it notes. But how do you do that when we're no longer in the same physical space? And so we invested in a lot of new tools. We invested in tools for remote pairing for our engineers. We expanded our use of collaboration suites, which was great, but it also created a nice challenge for me because I run both IT and security.
Right.
So I need to enable these tools, but I also need to secure them.
Yes. That is the interesting fusion, right? That's the crossover where I feel like you in particular have been leading a lot of this effort because you said you were a SaaS first. You've taken the approach to say we're going to be cloud native and born there. And then in this remote first world, everybody's still collaborating, exchanging, using new tools, which is good because you've enabled them, but a little bit of a nightmare for you at the same time. Tell me a little bit about that privacy and security element, from your perspective and your synthesis over the last few years.
A lot of it really accelerated what we were already working on. Like we already had data loss prevention tools, but we needed to increase those and our usage of them, and the rule sets really amp those up. We needed to get visibility in places that we didn't have visibility before. I'm old enough to remember talking about how the network was the computer, and now the browser is the network. Like
Yes.
concepts of perimeter security don't really apply when you have no perimeter. I hate the buzzword zero trust, but it does apply. I now
Yeah.
have networks in all 700 of my employees' homes that I have to be concerned with how effective is their security. We still maintain an office, even though we are remote first, but that office is more like a co-working space. Everybody's transitory. So that is now an untrusted network and an untrusted office, whereas before it was trusted. So just rethinking where the boundaries are, where you can apply the rules and the filters to try to capture events where they're happening and isolate things. It makes a lot of things harder, like how you secure unstructured data that might be on somebody's laptop, and enforce policies when you don't have the same surface area to enforce those policies.
How important, or why is it important, whichever one of those you want to answer in whatever order, is that partnership of the Google, Omada, Virtru, that trifecta to help enable those two areas that you just highlighted?
To me, it's really important. We first adopted Virtru on top of G Suite, I think it was 6 years ago. And our problem then was, as much as we want to keep health information out of email, and it should only be in our clinical systems, we have a variety of use cases where we need to share protected health information with a person, with an entity, and the only way to do that is over email. Anything else is just inefficient. And in that scenario, gateway encryption solutions, as an example, they're just not sufficient because the email still exists unencrypted on Gmail. So we needed something with client-side encryption so that I don't have to trust Google with the information. I don't have to trust Virtru with the information. I'm only trusting it with that information with the person I'm sharing it with. We're now looking at, and actually in the process of implementing, that same set of solutions for me on top of Google Drive, because we have this problem where two clinicians and a product person want to collaborate with notes on a specific patient, and we want to enable that collaboration because we can improve the care and we can improve the product. We are in the process right now of rolling out Virtru on top of Google Drive because we want to enable all kinds of new collaborations across care teams, across our product teams, engineering, etc., where health information may be in there for a good use, but we want to control who has access to it. We want to be able to destroy it when we want to. And we don't want to have to trust the platform that it's on to actually secure that document.
Bill, I love cybersecurity. I love the healthcare mission. You're the perfect fusion. I learned a lot today. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time to go through this with us. You've been in the trenches, solving real problems, driving real health outcomes for patients. I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Rob. It's been a pleasure.